now that we're talking about, it's not just billionaires in Trump's cabinet. It's also generals. He's got his generals. What are we up to now? 3 generals?
Yes, McGrath.
We got defense. We got DHS. Where's the other general?
Flynn's a general, national security.
Oh, yes, Flynn. And we talked about Flynn yesterday, lunatic. But here is
we're out of time.
Here is exactly. Here's Tulsi Gabbard, Congresswoman, sort of a darling of some people on the left, right? I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, she's popular.
She's also very much appreciated by members of the Trump administration because she is she leans very forward when it comes to the Muslims.
A beaky bar, Tulsi Gabbard bar.
There you go. And apparently, she also doesn't see any problem with. And look, let me give you a couple of clues about the way America was set up. In many countries, the commander-in-chief is a military person. In this country, the commander-in-chief was set up specifically to be a civilian. That is the president. The commander-in-chief. The president's not the commander-in-chief of us because we're civilians. The commander-in-chief is commander-in-chief only of the military. Now, the commander-in-chief, if the president was the commander-in-chief of us, then he or she would be a king or a queen.
What?
Or a dictator.
Wow.
But they do have that authority over the military because we don't want the military to run the country. In fact, not only do we not want a person in the military to be the president. Yeah, we've had past generals to be president in this country, usually after a war, like the Revolutionary War, the World War II, big wars.
MacArthur.
But people feel so strongly about making sure there's a distinction between that there's civilian control over the military that we've even passed laws saying that, like, you need to be out of the military for a certain period of time before you can serve in as a particularly a defense secretary. And this is because in this country there has been a strong understanding that you need civilian control over the military because the military has guns. And sometimes, like in a lot of countries, you'll get the military saying, we think we should be in control. And we're not even going to argue about it. You're going to argue with my weapon here, which in their case is not a Sharpie, but actually a real weapon. But Tulsi Gabbard has a different perspective on this.
I know that some of your colleagues, Democrats, have expressed concern about too many retired generals being in the Trump cabinet. You have the National Security Advisor, General Flynn, and then also he's talked about General Mattis and General Kelly at the Pentagon and Homeland Security. Do you share their concerns or do you disagree?
I don't share their concerns. In fact, as a veteran and as someone who's still serving in the Hawaii Army National Guard, I find it pretty offensive for people to outright discriminate against veterans. Here you have generals who have literally spent their whole lives serving our country, putting service before self, putting their lives on the line to defend democracy. And yet people are criticizing them and discriminating against them, saying just because you served as a general previously, you are disqualified from serving in a high position of leadership in our government. These people arguably have put far more on the line and are far more deeply personally committed to upholding and protecting our democracy than their critics.
Wow, that's a real mouthful there. First of all, she's claiming that they're being discriminated against and they're prejudiced.
Well, that is like a Trump level nonsense.
I mean, there's literally a statutory requirement that that Mattis get a waiver. And those people who voted for that law in the first place must have also been highly prejudiced against the military, because we know how prejudiced against the military people were in the 50s and 60s.
Super prejudice. Senator McCarthy targeted them.
Did you know that they're also, by definition, more patriotic than the rest of us?
Yeah, they're generals.
Also a little bit of a problem.
They care more about democracy than the people, too.
The military cares more about the democracy than the people, than the electeds. Like, not only is she not getting the reasons why there's this firewall between the military and the civilian leadership, she's actively breaking it down.
That could literally be dropped into, like, I don't know, 1975 Chile. Let me explain to you why General Pinochet actually has a much deeper concern for the country and real democracy than President Allende, who was a civilian. What does he care?
I am really interested in what position she's going to be getting in the Trump administration, because she certainly seems like she wants to get one.
I take her case by case, and I have liked things that she said, but that is demented. I mean, that's next level right there.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.